My name is Doran Larson, and I direct the American Prison Writing Archive, which is a project that's been going for about 3-4 years now. Yeah.
So what does digital humanities mean to you?
It means, well, to me, it really means what I've been doing on my particular project. But the digital humanities more widely really means whatever the particular scholar who's engaging in it means in many ways. It really runs a gamut from people who are basically doing an extension of archival, what we traditionally think of as library work, but doing it online. So there's the Walt Whitman Library, for example, where you go on and see original handwritten manuscripts, from Walt Whitman. People are actually doing things that are very close to social activism. So that, there's a woman in California who has done interviews, for example, with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people, and has their testimonies online. You read across these and you get a sense of like what are the real causes of poverty and addiction and all of those sorts of things. So that that in some sense sort of ventures over almost into ethnography or anthropology. So there's a really wide range, because basically digital humanities are people who are doing something that's not hard science, it's not social science, and it's not art, and it's online, right? So it's a really broad field, and of course enormously flexible for whoever's involved in it. So essentially, I got involved in DHI as a solution to what was simultaneously a scholarly problem and also what I felt was really an ethical problem. Digital humanities, through the DHI project here, sort of naturally opened up the possibility for having a place to make this work public, which was the intention, obviously, of the original writers, without having to be to fit the sort of narrow confines of hard copy book publication, which is all kinds of considerations about market, about how many books, how many volumes can you actually, will the market actually absorb. And in this case, what we have is the possibility of transitioning from the idea of a sampling of a book into a comprehensive archive of all the work that comes into us, to map really the nation as a carceral nation, which is really what we've become now. As I've said in other talks before, I didn't come here because I love the technology. I came here because I love the work, and I'm engaged and feel it's very important to disseminate the work of people who are currently incarcerated in the largest prison system on earth. And DHI becomes a venue, right? Those means become the venue for me to facilitate that dissemination of that writing. Because I'm really trying to, in some sense, change the national perception of incarcerated people. And these, a digital platform is the most viable for doing that. But what DHI does, is its very nature, is it forces humanists to think about their work as public intellectualism, right? As public humanities, because it is by nature a public venue. Once it's on the net, then it's accessible to the world. So, it makes much more sense if you're going to put something out that's available to the public, to make something that's actually accessible to the public also. So I think it's been very good for humanists as well as being good for the humanities. With a project that someone puts up online and is accessible, and anyone in the public, they're just interested in prisons, they're interested in what the experience is of people inside, they don't have to be academics to access that work, right? It's the digital humanities, I think, is important to me simply as a humanist, and more specifically, it's important to me as someone who's working to change one of the most powerful social institutions that we have.
Is there anything else that you would want included in the interview about the DHI or about your work?
I think that the main thing is to for people to understand about this work. I think there's often a public perception that, well, you're just putting stuff online. How hard can that be? It's enormously difficult. It's enormously difficult and enormously expensive, because you have highly trained professionals who literally have to be in control and technically process every second of a video that you're putting out, or every page of an archive that you're putting out. So at the same time that the end product is intended to be extremely accessible, because of the ease of access to some of these products, people don't appreciate exactly how much labor stands behind what it is that they're doing. And I certainly didn't have an appreciation of that until I actually got involved in a project and saw how many steps there are along the way to get to something that once it reaches you feels like it's seamless and perfectly fluid, right? But that seamlessness and that fluidity comes from many, 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 many hours of work. And so I think that the field and digital humanities in general are enormously valuable to us as a democracy because they're a great venue for creating a more informed populace and a voting public. But that doesn't come for free.